people that talk about exercise, there's so much undeniable evidence about what that does for us all, right? Forget the obvious, physical benefits, right? The endorphins, the energy, but there's an element that I don't think gets talked about enough of, again, when your brain is occupied with a physical action, your brain is being, locked into, I need to, lift this, move this, run, jog, whatever. That helps to pull parts of the distracting thoughts and the different things that would generally pull you away from your deeper thinking. And it's part of the reason you're able to stay locked in is because you're that other part of your brain is consumed by your physical activity. That's why I think a lot of times, like people that run, say when I run or like are on a Kurt Reisig biking, right? Like your thinking becomes really, really complex and uninterrupted because you're physically pulling your brain into another space.
You're getting more oxygen, you're boosting your metabolism. I mean, we go on for an hour about the benefits of exercise. And I think that's a big one that people skip, or they'll do it at night. And I think it's, in my opinion, so much better in the morning because it just sets up and fuels you for the rest of the day.
For sure. Well, and the opportunity to start a workday, I think people don't realize, that don't do this or that aren't in the successful space, right, is if we all have 8 hours in a day on a work day, right, how productive are you within those 8, right? So if you hit your 8 and you're already hit the ground running, you're already locked in, you already know what your to-do list is, you're already ready to do it, and it's just a matter of now doing it, you're going to get out 2 hours ahead of the person who's going to come in and go, okay, what do I need to get done today? Right. And then they're going to go through that whole process and be and as silly as and obvious of a statement is what I'm making is at the moment, that is, okay, you got 6 hours done, they got 8, you're 2 hours behind, and you do that 5 days in a row, and guess what? You're already 10 hours behind. You're a full day behind, and it compounds, and the next thing you know, I know for me, just at my peak number of people that I was responsible for, as things were going really crazy, as I was involved with helping grow one of the companies I was with, emails and all the disruptions in the day were so significant. I went in my day started at 5. Like I was in my office at 5, and it was 3 hours of the uninterrupted day. And I was like, one whole day's worth of work I felt like I got done before the 8 a.m. Clock struck. And then I got to deal with people. And then that last hour until 6, 7 was my additional. And so I would leave and I go, I think I got 2 to 3 days worth of work done. And I did that day after day, and I felt so far ahead. Yeah. Not everybody can do that, but that kind of exemplifies the point. And I can't do it as much. I got, the kids have grown up. So that piece and having a routine, it's hugely important. Huge. And he's brought together undeniable traits, and we're all looking for, how do I replicate and consistently become successful? And that's the routine. So I feel like crap today. Tired. Don't want to get going. You go exercise, the endorphins. Now you don't feel like it's crap anymore. And now the brain starts working. Like, it's very simple in its
It is
impact.
simple. And I think, and my daughter taught me this. She's really into fitness. Casey, she's works out, but she's like, Mom, you really don't need to work out that long. Like, you can do a full body workout in under 30 minutes. Just a basic, and when you get older, when you're over 40 or 50, you don't want to work out that hard because you create cortisol, and we can go into another discussion.
Any advice is for 90 plus?
Just don't do it. Stay off the high beam.
The best exercise is like walking. People really underestimate walking, and for women too. Walking, they're saying, is much more healthier than running. I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for that, but the reason it's healthier than running is it doesn't hurt your internal organs. There's not as much
the bouncing and
and they're saying that walking briskly is almost better. So I'm doing that.
Running does jar the body.
Yes,
and they say that if you're going to do something like that, bicycling is so much better. Swimming, they say, is even better because it has less impact on the body.
Yes,
and gets the same types of benefits. Actually, swimming, I think, engages more of the muscles than
undoubtedly. I personally have like trauma against it. I wasn't a big swimmer growing up, basketball, baseball, but we did that a lot in our workouts, and they're some of the most miserable workouts of my, athletic career involved being in a pool, doing water polo style workouts, which I was like, crazy kudos to, water polo players and the things they go through. But,
oh my gosh,
the idea of like, hey, figure out how to hold a brick or a medicine ball above your head in the water, while you're treading water and, swimming. But as far as like conditioning and low impact, low stress, high physical exertion, high lung capacity, oxygenation, like those are all things that swimming is incredibly, effective for. I just, my brain goes into the memory mode, so I'm not a big swimmer myself, but it's way healthier and it would probably be better. Same thing with biking. I think people I have back issues, people have knee issues.
Yep.
And it was like the jarring, and they talk about heart health with running and people's mechanics of running can actually increase the level of the jarring versus all of that. Yeah.
So
I respect runners though. Those elite runners. We have a lady that works here. Her name is Christy, and she's actually writing a book that I've been really pushing her to do. But she just competed in one of the 100-mile runs where, like, they actually run 100 miles.
That actually happens.
And she's writing a book about her journey. The first year that she tried it, she hurt herself like at mile 75 or something, which, heartbreaking. And then she came back the next year and trained and actually was able to complete the 100 miles. To me, that like gives me chills, just the dedication. So I'm in awe of runners. Because I'm a horrible runner. In school, I was a sprinter, and so out past about 220 yards, it's like, okay, let's get a cab because this is way too far.
I will say this, runners, to your point with as a guy who did it, I have the same admiration as you do for it. As like basketball and baseball is my thing. I could run for days, but I had to be chasing a ball, or I had to have a goal to score, a point to score, a base to reach.
The moment that it's just out on the track.
So when you're just out on the track, I never enjoyed the long distance running, right? Like I'm not chasing anything, so I never, enjoyed that. But what for me, in order to be to be successful at it or compete at it, and to kind of get the benefits of it, I always had to go into my head and find visualizing playing in a game. I'm pushing myself because I want to be able to guard at this point in the game. I want to be able to get to this spot, make this shot. And I'm pulling myself into all the other places in your brain so that you kind of lose, again, what you're physically doing is there and you're aware, but you're focused on other stuff. And if you talk about all the successful runners and bikers, long distance people, they have an insane mental fortitude and capacity to go to a place where, yes, you're paying attention to your rate, your pace, all the things that are involved with how well you're performing, but they are in another place mentally, and they're gone. And it's such a powerful, like most of those people are intensely successful.
Agreed.
People in general.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's just, I have to, when I was younger and I would go out and I used to try to be long distance, and I had to trick myself into, like you're saying, chasing a ball or whatever the case is. I used to say, oh, the race is to that telephone pole, and you'd pick something out and you'd be like, yay, and I've made it. And then you have to pick the next telephone pole and the next, because I had to trick myself that way too. But just incredible.